Episode 7. Croaks solves and adds twists after a cliffhanger that will go down in Yellowjackets history. The squad goes feral as they contemplate what to do with their surprise visitors, and Joel McHale makes his much-anticipated arrival. The adult timeline becomes more stressful as secrets are exposed. Lottie's murder may be broken, and Van's illness worsens. Season 3's second half makes up for its poor start. From here on out, it's a race to the finish as we wait for answers and learn more about the mystery. Joel McHale was one of the new guest deaths in Season 3 Yellowjackets special guests, but his role was kept under wraps until this week. Unexpected hikers interrupt the team's feast for Coach Scott at the end of the previous episode. Episode 7 introduces them as researchers and hikers with Mail as Cody, their wilderness guide. Edwin and Hannah, the researchers, reveal what has been screeching all season: frogs. They're studying a certain frog's mating patterns. We learn about Edwin and Hannah during their 2 days in the woods before meeting the Yellowjackets. But Cody is more reticent. The day before they meet the Yellowjackets, Hannah jokes that she'll call Miss Cleo on their sat phone to ask when the rain would stop while smoking one of Cody's homemade joints in their tent. Edwin teases her, but Cody encourages it. So they playfully tussle over the phone, and Hannah falls backwards and breaks it. Cody corrects Edwin, who is enraged by emphasizing he is their lifeline, not the phone. The next day, Edwin wonders if Cody broke the phone on purpose and understands Hannah loves him, making him even more apprehensive. He shows Hannah Cody's jacket that night and notes that it has a different name, but Hannah thinks he probably bought it at a second-hand store and doesn't care. Edwin lets it go only because he smells barbecue and wants to investigate, thinking there are other people nearby. Cody advises him about approaching people this far from civilization because Edwin ignores them and follows the scent. Hannah and Cody follow him in case he gets into trouble, which he does. This episode eventually reveals additional details about the cliffhanger from the previous episode, such as Hannah recording their encounter before they arrive. The Yellowjackets are surprised at the people in front of them. Van chokes, "We're going home." Edwin stammers, barely recognizing them. It feels like hope, but Lottie fatally stabs him, and he falls to the ground with an axe in his back before he can finish his remarks. Chasing scene. Everything goes haywire as Edwin collapses. Shauna laughs maniacally. Nat looks frightened, and Lottie explains her actions by saying they don't belong and don't want them here. Cody advises Hannah to run, which sets the gang off to hunt the trio. Nat instructs everyone to capture and return them. These folks may be their chance to get home. In the confusion of their departure, Cody launches an arrow that wounds Melissa in the shoulder, making her cry and beg Shauna not to leave. Without staying, Shauna orders Marie to help Melissa. "If she dies, you die." Jen helps and chastises Lottie for starting this, saying the newcomers were probably helping them. Lottie is already dead, leaning over Edwin's body, sucking his blood from her hands and putting it on her face, whispering, "You'll see, you'll see." Hannah wants to return to their camp, where they have supplies, while Cody feels they'll be safer deeper in the woods. Hannah is doing well after they break up until her hair gets stuck on a branch and rips out, revealing her. Hannah hides a hollowed-out log as Ty, Jasmine Sevoy Brown, and Van pass by. After they go, she records a message on her DAT player in case she dies. Tearful excerpts from her dedication to her daughter, Alex, are heard throughout the broadcast. Ty and Van stumble onto the researchers' encampment and find more supplies labeled COO, the same abbreviation as Coach Scott. More importantly, they find a sat phone, and Van instantly calls her mom, only to find it broken. Ty jokes that they'll have more supplies, but Van says they only need to find these people to go home. Shauna grips on a Hannah's hair strand on a branch and gently approaches where she is hiding with Nat. Hannah softly emerges and extends her hands in surrender, pleading not to hurt her. Nat says it's fine, but Shauna doesn't like it and holds her at knife point for Melissa's death. Hannah denies shooting Melissa, but says they brought first aid kits. Nat and Shauna bring Hannah back to camp, where Lottie is still smearing Edwin's blood on her face, and Jen and Marie have painfully removed Melissa's shoulder arrow. Hannah's introduction confuses everyone, and the Yellowjackets have a new member. Akilah and Travis search for Cody, while Akilah wonders why Lottie killed Edwin. She's trying to figure out why Lottie did it, thinking she suspected he was bad. Travis has no response, and Misty arrives with a plan. So, they can't think further, drive Cody toward the cliff ahead and corner him. They decide to split up, and Travis fires some bullets to draw him in their way. This culminates when Misty chases Cody. He fires his crossbow at her, and she ducks but loses her glasses in the dark jungle. Cody passes Travis and Akilah hiding behind a tree as he runs. Despite Akilah's warning, he nervously moves and falls off the cliff as they approach. He holds onto some tree roots to avoid falling and tells Travis to save his bullet when he points the gun at him. He wants to die on his own terms. Travis surprises Cody and asks him to take them back with him, helping him over the brink to safety. Cody, Akilah, Travis, and Misty are absent for the rest of the episode, leaving this storyline unresolved. Misty joins unresolved. Van worries as Ty sleeps in their hotel room. In the last episode, she woke up screaming for help in the middle of the night and went back to sleep. So, Van is justifiably skeptical. Ty is woken up by Misty storming into their hotel room and questioning her encounter with Lottie. Ty admits to talking to Lottie privately, but she doesn't think that's enough to convict her. Misty thinks it's possible, since Ty lied about the meeting and has a tendency of doing strange things and forgetting them. She then asks Van if she thinks Ty killed Lottie. Van pauses but answers no, even though she knows she's lying. Ty contradicts Misty's charge by alleging that whoever sent the recording to Shauna murdered Lottie, but Misty has never heard of it. Shauna listens to the rest of the tape and skips to an unheard part where Hannah says, "I wanted you to be proud of me." No ordinary teenage mom. This is the confessional she recorded while hiding from the crew in the wilderness. Shauna's face shows that it bothers her still. She Googles Hannah and finds her obituary, but Jeff interrupts her. She packs to go for the day, which causes a dispute with Jeff because she won't let him or Callie leave the hotel while she's packing. Shauna says to cease asking questions for their protection. She runs into Ty, Van, and Misty as she leaves, which upsets Shauna, but they should tell Misty everything. Shauna admits there's more to the tape than Lottie's actions and references Hannah's message. She suspects Hannah's daughter sent the tape and will find her. The women are suspicious because Shauna rarely has peaceful discussions without difficulties, so they tag along. Misty is bewildered after hearing the tape as they go to Richmond, Virginia, where she found Hannah's daughter's address. Hannah's obituary didn't mention a child. Shauna says she located the teen pregnancy on Hannah's local birth record, which made finding an address easy. Misty is amazed they didn't know about this youngster, but Van says someone had to know because they snuck the recording out of the woods. Ty notes that Jen and Melissa were close to Hannah, but Van casually informs Ty that they're deceased. During a refueling break, Van asks Ty if she will tell her about meeting Lottie. Ty reminds Van that she talked to Lottie about sacrificing, even though the wilderness told them to. The talk ends when Misty and Shauna return, but the automobile drama continues. Walter calls Misty about Lottie's nail DNA. He informs her he matched it to some hair from Shauna, which suggests she killed Lottie. Misty plays it cool enough to hang up on Walter and seem flirtatious, but then she texts Ty and Van to tell them the news. Shauna notices their messaging and asks, "What's up?" Ty claims she needs to urinate, even though they just stopped, but Van starts coughing up blood. So, Shauna runs to the nearest hospital. Only Ty knows about Van's cancer, so when they arrive at the hospital, it's a shock, but only Ty can accompany her. Van sees her youthful self, who reminds her they never cheated death by escaping the flaming airline seat before setting her hospital bed on fire. As her condition worsens, Van needs a blood transfusion due to oxygen depletion. She opens her eyes to see Ty staring at her, her mouth full of dirt, and she tells Van she won't let them take her eyes. Van panics, shrieking that she knew it and demanding to know how long she's controlled Ty's body. But other Ty insists only she can save Van. Callie and Shauna seem to be having a regular mother-daughter relationship, as normal as it can be with Shauna Sadecki as your mother. However, Season 3 has set them back, as episode 7 shows Callie turning against Shauna and even try to turn Jeff against her. She secretly recorded her mom listening to the mysterious deity recording with Van and Ty last week. And this week, she's already probing into what she found. Callie searches for 1990s Canadian unresolved missing people cases without success before approaching Jeff. Callie says they keep telling themselves Shauna is a wonderful person who has simply had poor luck, but what if she's bad? Jeff chuckles when Callie asks whether Shauna ever mentioned frog scientists. But when she recounts how they inexplicably disappeared 100 miles from where the Yellowjackets plane crashed, it all makes sense. Still, Jeff tries to convince Callie that it's easy to get lost in the woods and that 100 miles is so far that they probably didn't meet. However, Callie reminds him of the tape and says she thinks it's part of the research endeavor and that Shauna, Van, and Ty understood what it was. While Ty and Van are in the hospital, Shauna and Misty wait. Misty instantly attacks Shauna for killing Lottie, citing the DNA proof. Shauna tells her that Lottie stayed at her house, so there's certainly DNA all over her. Misty says this DNA indicates a struggle, which Shauna thinks is from under Lottie's fingernails, and Misty takes it as a confession. She also shows a toll receipt from Shauna's car that reveals she was in New York when Lottie died. To escape Misty's allegations, Shauna gets a drink from the vending machine, but drives away, leaving her pals behind. She drives to Virginia and pulls up to a house with a woman lowering the blinds. After watching the home, Shauna grabs the bag next to her and pulls out a new hunting knife with the price tag, implying that the peaceful chat she promised is no longer possible.